Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we are looking at the best knives to middle finger flick. Now, we're going to be covering a variety of knives because there's more to it than just holes, you guys. And yes, we're still talking about knives. Now, before I start with this list, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you see, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you guys the content. The growth of this channel has been absolutely mind-blowing to me. I can't tell you how much it means for every subscription I get. Everyone helps, so please be a part of my YouTube journey and hit that subscribe button. Now, let's get right into it. So when it comes to middle finger flicking a knife, there are obviously a lot of different types of blades, a lot of different ways to do it, and that has to do with what exactly is on the blade. So we're going to break this down into fullers, into thumb studs. We're going to hit a few specific definitions, terminologies that actually make the action of middle finger flicking. We're going to take a look at cutouts, and I'm going to show you guys my 3 favorite all-time knives that I enjoy middle finger flicking. And we're going to start off with fullers. Yes, fullers, like you see right here on the Ferrum Forge Stinger. A lot of people struggle to flip these things, and for the last time, I'll give you guys a tip that I was given. Obviously, something like this, and me too, not having quite the fingernails as most people, I'm definitely a very guyish guy when it comes to the fact that I cut my nails down to the bone all the time because I don't really care about them. So something like this can be harder for me to middle finger flick. So you just put your, kind of like the meat of your finger right here, and you just kind of kick it out like that. Obviously, more wrist helps, but this knife especially has a very nice, sharp, not sharp, but a defined milling area here. So it bites your finger good without, of course, cutting it or doing anything that you don't want it to do. But it does work very, very well, and I'm going to do my best to try and not to botch a lot of them. But there you go. This is the Ferrum Forge Stinger. It's an absolute great one. There's not many knives with fullers that I can middle finger flick, and the Stinger is lately become one. And I really, really do. It literally increased my how much I love this knife, and I already liked it. It's already rated my best knife under $100 if you watch that video. But it's just so good, and when you add a level of fidgetability like that, it makes it even better. And okay, last one. There you go. That's the Ferrum Forge Stinger. Not going to get caught up because this may be a long list. Got a good amount of knives, so there's the Ferrum Forge Stinger. This is one of 2 fullers I'm going to be showcasing on this video, and the next one is an exclusive, and this is the Hinderer XM18 Fullered Spear. Now, this here, yes, it's a DLT exclusive. Yes, I have a partnership with DLT, but I actually got this knife before I had my partnership with DLT. They had no idea who I was at that time. I actually got this, I believe, even before I started my channel. It was right around the time. So, completely just a coincidence. This is a DLT trading exclusive, but it's the only, DLT is the only one that has XM18s with a fuller. Is to the best of my ability, I believe the fuller is what makes them a DLT exclusive, and it's an absolutely fantastic model. This is definitely my favorite Hinderer. I'm not a Hinderer nut, but I do appreciate a good Hinderer, and the fuller absolutely makes it much more enjoyable. Love that working finish. Love this micarta, but more than anything, love that middle finger flicking action. Such a great one. The Hinderer XM18 Fullered Spear from DLT Trading. These are, of course, not in stock at DLT right now because once they get exclusive Hinderers, they sell out really quick. But follow DLT, keep up with them, and you will know when they have them back in stock. Next up, we're looking at thumb studs. Now, thumb studs, I'm going to pull out some budget options here. I'm going to start off with some budget options, and then we'll get into some options that are a little more expensive. But we have 3 options right here, and we have 2 QSPs and a CJRB. And we'll go with this QSP first. This is the QSP Penguin. And, oh yeah, yep. This is a very, very cheap knife. It's easily under $30. I want to say, when I got it, it was like, I want to say like $29. I think $29 or maybe $19. I can't remember. They've gone up in price. I believe they're somewhere in the $20 range now, maybe low 30s, but regardless, at either price point, really, really good offering. When it comes to thumb studs, there has to be just a right detent to be able to let you to really hit that middle finger flick and make it enjoyable. Again, there's a lot of thumb studs that you can middle finger flick. These are the ones that I find to be the smoothest and I enjoy most. That's why I'm bringing them to your guys' attention. Of course, this Penguin here with the beautiful denim micarta is also a good option, but more than anything, it is made by fantastic middle finger fliction. Fliction? Did I say fliction? Middle finger flicking. So there's that, the QSP Penguin. Next up, we have a newer one. This is the QSP Hawk, and this one's even better, guys. This one is even smoother. You can do a lot of other things, but of course, the middle finger flick is what we're highlighting on this one today, and I'm also going to highlight this really sweet-ass micarta. This is so, so nice. Best micarta on a budget knife I've ever seen. Absolutely fantastic. You can middle finger flick it all day. Works great. That is the QSP Hawk. Next up is one that I'm absolutely in love with, and I haven't had it on the channel a lot lately, so we had to change that. This is the CJRB Maileah, and this is out there, guys. It's available, and you absolutely have to get it. If you like small, fidgety budget knives, you cannot go wrong with this. This is the best, in my opinion, the absolute best small fidget budget knife. Very sleek design. You can front flip it, and then of course you can thumb flick it. But more than anything, it's so easy to just kick out with a very, very sweet action. The detent on this baby is just dialed in, and it comes right out. This is this is my #1 recommendation for a small budget fidget knife. Absolutely right here. You're going to see this highlighted on another video coming up, but it definitely fits in this video. An absolutely fantastic option, the CJRB Maileah. Now we're going to get rid of these, and we're going to go to a little more expensive route for thumb studs. And when you kick up the price, you get a little more in value, you get a little more in all sorts of things. But these are some fantastic options for thumb studs. You can middle finger flick in a more premium style. So first off, we have the Banter. This is the cheapest of everything here. This is $108, and it's simple, but it's just so damn smooth. It has a very, very nice detent, and you just kick it out so easily. It really is. It's a very, very underrated knife, but I think a lot of people now have experienced them and enjoyed them. I haven't heard anything bad about them whatsoever. I would actually really like to get some different scale colors or get a different blade color on these guys because, I don't know, you guys know how I feel about black on black. It's not my favorite, but I got this when it first came out, and I like this option better than the blue scales, so I went with it. But, oh my god, absolutely fantastic middle finger flicking action. Very, very good one. Highly recommend this. You can find this at a lot of places now. Next up is the Banchmade Bugout, and yeah, it's really that easy to middle finger flick. This one's actually a little stiff. I've said before, I really need to oil this guy, but oh my gosh. I think the heavier scales help with the action on this one too. Let me know, do you have just a regular Bugout that you can easily middle finger flick? Because I can do this one like a dream, so I had to put it on here, and it really is. It really is so good. Just a perfect length. I like the heavier scales. They really make for the middle finger flicking action to be really good. Smooth axis lock, I think, helps a little with that. Really good one, Banchmade Bugout. And then another extremely premium made USA knife. This is the TRM Atom. This guy is just light, thin, and I think it would be even easier to middle finger flick if I had some of the little rubber bands that they put around the thumb studs. I don't have any, but I don't really have any issues. It works just fine for me. Really love these Gicarta scales I picked up. Pretty smooth. Just a nice little change up to any other scales I have. But yeah, that thin light blade kicks out so easily, and it's just really, it's a joy to carry. It disappears in the pocket, and it's also a very fidgety knife. So that's the TRM Atom. Absolutely worth looking at if you're into middle finger flicking thumb studs. And last, but certainly not least, the beast, the behemoth, the Chavez Redencion 229. This is one of the best examples of a Riot-built knife I have, and it's just so smooth. And when you kick this guy out, it comes out with authority. Just a wicked badass Tanto. I have no issue with this knife whatsoever. It's a handful. It's not super heavy, but it's not light. It's a beast. It's just an absolute beast, and I love everything about it, especially this middle finger flicking action. That is the Chavez Redencion 229, and of course, we got to showcase the skull clip because that's what makes it. So now we've covered some thumb studs, and like I said, guys, there's a lot of other knives with thumb studs that that I think a lot of people enjoy middle finger flicking. Which ones did I leave out there? I'm sure there's more. Let me know. Now let's talk about the knives that kind of, sometimes I say middle finger flick, sometimes I say Spydie Flick. And when I say Spydie Flick, I try not to unless I'm doing a Spyderco, because that really, Spydie Flick really comes from the spider hole and all that. So what I've got for you next are my 3 favorite Spyderco knives with the Spidey hole, and for various reasons. And we have these 3 right here. We have the Yojimbo 2, the Tanto PM2, and the Spyderco Shaman. Now, the Shaman is just great because it's just a full-size knife. I can really get my finger in there, and it just, the hole's a little bigger than some of the other Spidey holes, and it's just perfect for the size of my hand. The ergos have always, and probably always will, be amazing. Just an excellent knife. Everything about this knife is excellent outside of the price, which is atrocious. But other than that, gosh, the action's fantastic, and the middle finger flicking action is some of the best you'll ever find on a knife. It really is. And I think a lot of it has to do with just my particular hand size and the placement of everything, how it sits in my hand. But again, it's so good. And it will always be on a list that has to do with middle finger flicking, or Spidey flicking in this case, the Spyderco Shaman. And next up, we have the PM2 Tanto. Now, of course, you can always use the regular PM2. That works just as fine. But the difference is right here in this super thick blade. Much thicker from in every aspect than the regular PM2 blade. It falls down so much better, and it just hits different. It definitely hits harder than the regular PM2, which I think you will definitely come to appreciate, especially if you're a Spyderco nut, you love your PM2. By some chance you've never handled a PM2 Tanto, I think you're going to be really surprised at how well this knife acts during a middle finger flick compared to your regular PM2. This is the PM2 Tanto, and if you haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend this one. And last but not least, one that may surprise some people, but the Yojimbo 2 is just incredible. I was so happy to get one of these back in my collection. I had one of the S30V models for a really long time, and I loved it. I just really wanted 20CV to help, make that little, that thin, dainty tip they have up here for more, really more self-defense purposes than EDC purposes. Even though it's an excellent EDC knife, the 20CV really makes that tip stronger, so I was waiting for one. I got a really good offer on my last Yojimbo 2, so I just sold that one prematurely, and I have the 20CV now in my possession, and oh god, I love it. The action is so smooth. One of the smoother Spyderco knives I have, actually. And I don't really know why. There's not really a heavier blade. It just feels much smoother to me, and the blade comes right out. Just fantastic. I like the way the hole is closer to the scale. Some people get a little cramped feeling with that, but I really like it. Just love this knife in general. This is the Spyderco Yojimbo 2, not the Yojimbo. The Yojimbo for me was a little too big. Didn't like the hole placement. Didn't like the ergos on it. The Yojimbo 2, in my opinion, is a much better knife. Just fits better in my hands personally. Now, next up. Now we're getting into the world of cutouts. And you guys know the cutouts can range from all sorts of different things. And we're just going to pull some out here. We're going to start with some budget options, and here come the Civivis. As you guys, you knew you weren't getting out of this video without seeing some Civivis, right? And of course, we have a CRKT. And here we have my favorite budget options for middle finger flicking cutouts on blades. And we'll start with the CRKT Pilar. It's Vox, it's small, it feels like a dream, and it flicks so well with just these Teflon washers here. It really is fantastic. This one here, these are so much better if you disassemble it and lube them up, because coming out of the box from CRKT, they're not, from my experience, they're not very smooth. They need some lubrication. You get it when you take it apart and lube it yourself, and this is just so good. It really is. It's an excellent fifth pocket knife. Will always be one of my favorite fifth pocket knives of all time. It's made to be a little worker, and you only have that 8CR13 MOV steel, which isn't great. I'm still waiting for my S35 VN model of this, so hopefully it will come. But as you guys can see, just the right amount of wrist, and you get your finger in there and just kick it out, and it has a really nice sound, a really nice action, just a fantastic little blade. Maybe my favorite blade under 2 inches, or as far as the cutting edge at least. I don't know, but darn, it's so good. It's so good. And at the price of this guy, it's like $28, something like that. You gotta look it up. It's the CRKT Pilar, a Voxness design, and it's absolutely fantastic. Next up, you have Civivi's. This here is the Civivi Odium, and yeah, flicks right out. You know it's going to flick out good when you got that Civivi detent. The Civivi detent is just, always has been, always will be, dialed in, so smooth. Even with a smaller blade, it works just fine. And it flicks out so good. This knife especially, it's easy to conceal in a grip. You don't see much of the blade sticking out. But again, this is one where I didn't think I could middle finger flick this one really well, because the cutout was so narrow and so close to the handle. But no, works just fine for me. Feels great. I think a lot of people, I think this is a very underrated Civivi. This is one of my more favorite Civivis. And I'm not a real small knife guy, but it's so good. It really is. And especially, I kind of did a little customization. I actually bought 2 of these, took these scales and the black blade, put that together, and really like how it turned out. That's the Civivi Odium. And the newest, the latest and greatest, the Civivi Riffle. This thing is absolutely stinking amazing. One of the best middle finger flicking knives in the budget line I've ever experienced. I always like a bigger blade that flies out really well, but then, of course, also it's just so easy to deploy with a middle finger flick. And I didn't think it would be. I thought this cutout was a weird shape, and I thought it would make it difficult to deploy the blade. I couldn't have been more wrong. It really is just fantastic. If you're looking for an easy knife to learn how to middle finger flick, the Riffle is an absolute fantastic option. I think this guy's coming in at like 50 some bucks. So excellent option. Another fantastically executed design from Civivi with the good detent, good cutout hole, 14C28 end steel. Definitely, absolutely worth giving a try. That's the Civivi Riffle. Next up, we got some higher end with cutouts, and we will start. Well, first we'll get them all on the table here and show you guys what we got. And you know you're going to see some Vox in these videos, because the guy is easily one of the best in the game. So had to get him in there. Had to get some Two Suns in there. And one of my favorite Kizers. We'll start out with this. This is the Kizer Genie. And this one is a little more difficult, because as you see, even though I made it look really easy, that hole is it's really in there. You got to kind of dig your finger in. But once you get it going, it really does flick out so well. So smooth, super light. I want to say this is like 2.4 ounces. So super light knife, and there it goes. It got me. But gosh, it has a nice, smooth, mellow sound to it. The bearings work excellently on it. Fall shutty. Absolutely love that reverse Tanto blade. Don't see enough reverse Tantos in the industry today. You do see a little more, though. I have noticed you see a few more than you used to. I don't know why we don't see even more, though, because it's just a great EDC blade. you can get some really good cutting geometry and just some really, really attractive lines with that reverse Tanto, and you don't see it enough. You just really don't. But no, this is a good one for any type of fidget level. It's just really, really good. That's the Kizer Genie. Next up, we have the Giant Mouse Ace Grand. And, of course, this is one of the bigger knives I've ever seen designed by Vox. I know he's designed a couple other in the 3.5-inch range. This one, I think, is coming in like 3.35 inches with a cutting edge. And it just looks like a sailor's knife. It really does. I mean, I can't really put my finger on why, but it doesn't matter because the middle finger flicking action is fantastic. Really like this cutout hole. It feels weird at first, but once I got used to it, it works really good. You can get it out with some good force, get some nice, getting that nice thwack going, and their ergos are good, whether you choke up or hold it back here. Just feels great, looks great, and of course, the theme of the video, middle finger flicks like a dream, the Giant Mouse Ace Grand. And the one of the more newer designs from Vox here is a collaboration with Urban EDC, and this is the F5.5, and this one is so good. Another one of my favorite blades under 3 inches of all time. It's somewhat thin, but still has a nice beefy stock. Excellent slicey blade. M390, fantastic micarta, but again, a really excellent designed cutout hole that makes flicking that easy. That easy. Absolutely fantastic. Feels so good. You got those Vox ergos. This choil feels a lot bigger in your finger than you would think too. Feels just absolutely great. One of my favorites. It really is. I got this right around Christmas. Been carrying it a lot. Probably one of my most carried knives since Christmas. Just a fantastic piece. Highly recommend this. I don't know if they're in stock. It's going to be at Urban EDC, so you'll have to look them up. Urban EDC Supply, I think is what it's called. Fantastic option, but again, they can be sort of hard to find. They do various runs of them. I'm sure they'll be back. I'm actually I am positive they'll be back because they just sell way too well. The response from the knife community has been fantastic with these, so you'll see more of them. I would definitely keep your eye out for these guys. They're absolutely killer. And lastly, we have two Suns left. This here is the Sun TS129, and there's so much I like about this knife. It's a very unique blade shape with a unique cutout, excellent materials, but that cutout just makes for some absolutely fantastic middle finger flicking action. Very aggressive tip, really good for some draw cuts, or just aggressive, really power through some cuts with this guy. I love this sheep's footy Wharncliffe blade. I'm sure some people would probably consider this a Wharncliffe. It really is. It comes down to the point. Is it a point or is it a non-point? I would consider this a point. I would think if you wanted to poke something with this, you could do it pretty well. So I guess I'm going to call it a Wharncliffe. But just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Gorgeous design. And fantastic middle finger flicking action. Works so well. I think you can still find these guys. They're a little harder now because you guys know how difficult Suns can be to find in general. But the TS129, keep an eye out for it. If you like front flipping, if you like middle finger flicking, this guy can do it all, and it really is an excellent option. Next to this guy, you have the Sun TS262. This is a Tepe design, and it probably is still my favorite Sun design. It's so close between these two. It really is. It really comes down to what blade shape and style you prefer. This is a very unique design, which is why I think it stands out a little more to me. The ergos are definitely better. The ergos are no slouch on that, but the ergos are definitely better on this guy. Just feels great. Nice, super slicey blade, but the cutout, and on this one too, you get a different type of sound. You get that kind of more of a thwonk, not a thwack, but a thwonk, and it's just great. It really is. It comes out so easy. The cutout looks sleek and hard to get into, but it's really not. Your middle finger gets in there, and it's butter after that. It really is. It's so darn good. This is the Sun TS262, and this one you should still be able to find. It's definitely, this is considerably newer than the TS129, so absolutely worth checking out. And if you like middle finger flicking, definitely. And if you like Suns and you like middle finger flicking, these two guys right here are the absolute go-tos. They're amazing. Look them up. And now we have some super premium cutouts. We have the Demko 8020. We have the WingManEDC, Mayo, MTNT Mach 3, and we have the Vero Axon. Now, this isn't really a cutout, but it's a mill out. I don't really consider this a fuller. Let me know, is this really supposed to be a fuller? I don't think it's a fuller, though. I think it's more of the mill out, cutout area, so I'm including it with this. And I'm going to start with this Axon because I was pretty rough on the review. I did say, you know, I thought this pocket clip was a nightmare, but we're not going to talk about the pocket clip. We're going to talk about this area right here, and we're going to talk about the action on it because the action's fantastic, and it just flicks out so very easily. It's one of the very few knives with a section like this where your finger can't go totally through, but it doesn't matter because you get perfect traction from that milled out area. It just feels great. You get a very, very fresh thwack. I mean, it hits pretty well. It don't hit hard, just hits really well, smooth, crisp. Just an excellent balance of blade weight to handle weight, and at that point, it's just kind of physics taking over. But just a very, very good option for that. Like I said, I really hope they fix the problem it has. It has nothing to do with this with the middle finger flicking. It's just right here. They fixed that, and absolute home run. Fantastic knife. As far as middle finger flicking, that is. That's the Vero Axon. Next up, we're going to go over here to the 8020, and yeah, this one's a little different. It takes a little, wow, it takes a little more wrist, but you have that. You have the shark lock. Now, I know, again, but it has the thumb studs too, so you can flick it out with the thumb studs, or you can flick it out with the middle finger cutout. And of course, this is another one due to the nature of the locking mechanism. It's kind of like middle finger flicking a axis lock or something like that. It definitely takes a little risk. There's no way I'm gonna do this without wrist. Needs wrist, but you can easily do it. And it feels pretty good. And it's literally just as fun to close it as it as it is to middle finger flick it. I'm not making it look as smooth as it really is outside of being under a camera, but it really is nice, and I had to put it on this list because I do love middle finger flicking it, and it's just a great one. And I hear there's more of these coming. There's more in more in production, and you should see them hitting shelves here pretty soon. Maybe they've already hit. Maybe I'm actually late. Maybe they already hit. Maybe they just hit a couple days ago. I don't know. I got a million things going on right now, but last thing I heard was there's more of these guys coming, and if you can afford it, I'd highly recommend it. Just a badass beef tank of a knife altogether. Really, really fantastic. The Demko Knives 8020. And last up here, we have a hugely underrated knife. They're hard to get, I think, is more the reason why. But this guy right here, for the size of it, the quality is just phenomenal. When you guys see some WingManEDC stuff come out, check them out because they are absolutely smooth, crisp. They're everything. They really are just excellent little knives. This is another one, easily one of my favorite sub 3-inch blades. That's not a fifth pocket knife of all time. At some point, I'm going to be coming up with a list for that because I've got some really, really good ones that I think you guys like to see. But the action is just so amazing. I really wish they made this knife in a 3.25-inch version. It'd be so good. I mean, it's amazing as it is. It really, really is. Super easy to flick out. Excellent hole. Just glassy, smooth action. The lock bar, like that. It's butter. Disengaging this lock bar is just absolute butter. There's no stick. you don't feel anything or hear anything. It's just the quality is fantastic on this guy. I absolutely love this knife. Easily one of my favorite knives under 3 inches. That's the WingManEDC Tom Mayo MTNT Mach 3. It's a mouthful, but it's amazing. And now we've gotten to a point in the video where it's time to show you guys my 3 all-time favorites. And this is in order, kind of. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. But coming in at number 3 for my 3rd favorite all-time knife to middle finger flick is none other than the Koenig Arius. And it's really pretty simple, guys. When something of this quality is made and put together and they do it right, and they put a hole on here that is, you know, plenty good enough, beautiful things happen. And that's just what you got here with the Arius. It is, it's a dream. It really is. It's my favorite all-time knife, and it is, as you know, my 3rd favorite knife to middle finger flick. It's just fantastic. The cutout's long enough and wide enough to where it works. And I tell you what, when I got this guy, it was super smooth. Then I took it apart and disassembled it, put a little nano oil in it, and yeah. Centering is excellent. It's perfect. This knife, to me, is perfect. It really is. I'm going to stop gushing about it and just stick to the middle finger flicking action. But it is so good. If you ever want to go crazy on a knife, get an Arius if you can. They're hard to come by, I know. I got extremely lucky getting this one. Definitely one, though. The middle finger flicking action is just fantastic. The detent's crisp. The blade's the perfect weight. The tolerances are unbelievably tight, and it all makes for a perfect package with excellent middle finger flicking. That is the Koenig Arius. Now, next up, we have number 1s, because there's a tie. I know there's a tie, but let me explain this on why there's a tie, because it's going to make sense when you guys see it. First knife that is tied for number 1 is right here. This is the Sharp by Design Void. If you've handled a Void, you are not going to disagree with me. You know it's one of the best. Unfortunately, I don't have one because they're like unicorns, and I wasn't able to get on one at that time. Money was a little tight, and I couldn't make one happen. But I've had one on the channel. Some guy that's turned out to be a pretty decent friend of mine now, Dilo sent me one. Had it on the channel, absolutely loved it. I said it was one of the grill knives I didn't know I wanted. It still is. At some point, I will get one, but right now I don't have one, so I just have a picture. But as you can see, this cutout right here kind of fits in right here, and it's butter with that very unique detent system Brian Nadeau has. This knife, I don't even think he was expecting the action to be that good on this knife until it was all fully assembled and put together. It is absolutely amazing, and it's just the definition of smooth when it comes to middle finger flicking. Then you have the other knife that is tied at number 1, and that is none other than the Brian Brown Yeager. It really is, but it hits completely differently than this Void. It really, really does. I mean, the feel, the sound, the speed, the weight, most importantly for me, the actual feel of the handle and hand, because as you can see, 2 radically different shaped handles. This is obviously an enlarged version. That would be a huge knife if that was the actual size. It's obviously not. The Void is actually slightly smaller than, slightly. And it's probably just because of the handle. The handle's a little longer. The blade's overall length is probably about very similar. But if I had to pick one, people might call me crazy, but I would pick this Yeager only because I like the feel of the handle more. And it's not even so much the texturizing. The texturizing does help, but I like the little bit of more of the squareness. It's not quite as narrow at the back end here. It's more of a rectangular shape, and it fits really well for me to put my fingers back here, and it just works for me. It works absolutely excellently, and it feels great. But what's mostly great about this knife is this right here. this, like I said, it is the best to me. It is a tie to me because these knives hit so radically differently, to where there are some days where I would really want to carry the Void. There's other days where it's like, oh yeah, got to throw the Yeager in the pocket. So I know I kind of contradicted myself when I said I would probably take this if I had to pick one, but they hit so differently. The action and feel of these knives are so radically different. It's really not fair to compare them. But we're comparing the middle finger flicking action. So in my opinion, I'm too torn to pick one over the other when it comes to just that. So yeah, so it is a tie. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure there's other people out there that have experienced both of these knives, probably a lot more that have experienced the Void. The Yeager is a harder one to get, but I messaged Brian Brown on Instagram. He said there's more coming to certain retailers. I don't know the quantities. I don't know any of that stuff. I don't have some crazy close relationship with Brian. I just had to message him and tell him how much I love this freaking knife, and he did tell me there was more coming, but that's really all I know. But my goal in life right now is to get one of these. This is also Delo's. I'll be sending it back to him. Delo, thanks again so much, brother, for sending it my way. Absolutely fantastic, fantastic piece. And so is the Void. There you guys have it. I think that's a pretty good spread from top to bottom of middle finger flicking action knives. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure I left some out. What are your favorites to middle finger flick? I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.